Okay, so this video follows on the one I sent yesterday, and it's basically just designed to complete a little effect, which is to add a canvas effect to this growth chart. And you can see when you sort of zoom in, it still looks a little tiny bit artificial. So the way you want to do that is navigate to the Finder window. Let me close all these windows here so you can see where we're at. And then go to Growth Chart Files, JPEG Previews, and you can see I've got the canvas pattern right here. So I already have this installed as a pattern in Photoshop, but I'll just kind of quickly show you how to do it. While on the layer that I want to apply the canvas to, just go over to Image, Layer Style, Pattern Overlay, and you can see it automatically dropped some stuff in from my preset patterns. In this particular case, you will need to, in this particular case, you'll need to define this pattern first. So what you'll do is you'll go File, Open, and then open that pattern I talked about. And so there it is. And now go Edit, Define Pattern. Once you do that, it'll show up in your little pattern palette. So that's how you do this first. So you go Edit, Define Pattern. So, and then you can close out of that. So now I'm done. Come back here, go Edit and Layer Style, Pattern Overlay, and navigate to where the pattern is. I happen to know it's right here already. And click there. Now you can see that the default overlay mode is always normal. And we don't really want that. We just want the texture, but we want the texture to be very subtly sort of shining over the top. So I don't remember the exact overlay mode. I think it was just multiply like that. So I'll click OK and zoom in, and you can see that adds a nice realistic canvas sort of overlay here. And here it is in the pattern effects. So that is just a little in-between step when you go ahead and paste a new canvas in here. So just to sort of take that part again from the top, I'll go ahead and toggle that layer off, and we'll start from the top to show you how to place these canvases again. So we go to Growth Chart Files, Master Image Library, AI Files for Print. We already did marigolds and ladybugs. We'll grab Ballerina, click OK. I hold down my Shift and my Alt or Option key at the same time, which constrains it from the center. And I come down again, as I said yesterday, to right about the edges of where that is. Click that, place the file, and then I'll go ahead and pull it down a little more, getting it really, really close. I'll zoom in and press my little V key here to, again, nudge it down a little further. Just about to where that one is. If you forget, just toggle back in your little original guide layer. And you can sort of see they're toggling on and off. That the original layer I sort of placed, it would seem that the top is sort of right there. And then I'll zoom out, scroll down to the bottom, and it looks like we moved the ribbon before. So in this particular case, I'll go ahead and move the bottom ribbons back down. I don't really quite 100% know why these ribbons are in the wrong place, but they should all pretty much be in the same place. I'll move the ribbon up to where that little bottom shadow highlight thing is sort of right there. So the dowels should be coming out a little bit further. So let me just make sure that I'm not quite sure why this one is a different size than the others. Oh, I see. I see. So we need to constrain it a little bit more. See, there was the original one right there. So I have that just toggled on so I can see where I was. So that's why I had to move this around. So we'll go ahead and constrain it like a little bit more, right to, so that's why we moved the ribbon the first time. So you shouldn't have to do that. That should have told me that I had canvases that were two different sizes. So you can see I'm lined up on the edge there. Click OK, and then I'll drag it up so it matches the top of the original guide layer here. And now we can scroll down to the bottom and probably put the ribbon back where it belongs. Yeah, sure enough, there's the ribbon, not quite where it needs to be because I was off. So I'll grab that and put it back. You really should never have to move the ribbon if you're doing this correctly. And I put, as you can see, like that little bottom line of the magnified part of the dowel shining through there. And that's very, very close. You can still see this is off a little tiny bit because you've got kind of this strange artifacting here. So that's pretty interesting. Let's see. That just probably has to do with my blend layer. Yeah, so that's what I thought. So I just selected auto select layer to see what that was. And it looks like, you know, this little sort of dowel part needs to I guess that's probably fine just the way it is. I'll work on that in another video because you can see it's creating like a very small subtle effect. You're never going to see that. Now one thing we want to make sure is that this thing is actually centered, you know, in this preview window, kind of top to bottom here. Like make sure there's the same amount of space here, you know, which looks like roughly, I'm just eyeballing it, but you know, 129 pixels there, and it doesn't look like it's 129 pixels here, as you can see. So what I would probably do once we're really close to finalizing this is just grab all this stuff and kind of just move it up so that it's appearing to be a little bit more centered in the window. Sort of like that. So we'll do another one, another video, but that's the canvas overlay part. Now, you probably remember that I haven't done the warping, you know, warped it on the inside yet. So it's currently a smart object. When you place an Illustrator file from a smart object, you cannot apply the warping. So remember, we will go pattern overlay like this. Come over here, select the pattern, select multiply as the blend mode, click OK, and now we can rasterize the layer. So now you right click and you say rasterize layer, and then remember, now we come over here, edit, transform, warp, and you can move this in a little bit, just like so. Typically you probably want to zoom in because you don't really want to do it more than like one click. So you can see it's like super subtle is kind of how you want it. So I would probably zoom in before doing these. You don't want to overdo it. It just won't look exactly right. And click OK. It'll say apply, and there's kind of our little warp effect. So I'm just going to save this. And you know, as you go, if you sort of find ways to continue optimizing the bottom dowel, I think that's fine if you can do that so that your effect is exactly right and you get rid of these little artifacts. But I suppose this actually looks kind of cool with a little bit of pink right there because it suggests that the canvas is wrapping up and around the back, around the dowel. So it's really not a huge problem. I think you can just optimize it as you go. But this one's sort of ready to go, and so in theory we would go File. I accidentally saved this as Marigold, so I saved it at the top of itself. So you'll have to go back and redo the Marigold one. But it's not Marigold and Ladybugs. It's obviously Ballerina. So master image library, AI files for print, and I would want to change that to Ballerina. So go enter, grab the file name, come back over here. So there's the file name. Click Save, click OK, and then go File, Save for Web. And again, we'll save that as a maximum JPEG. Let's put it in the right file with ribbons, and there's Ballerina, and now we have Ballerina JPEG. So I just wrote over the top of the Marigold one, so you'll have to go back and redo that. But that's how you add the canvas overlay. Remember, you can only do the warp, apply the canvas overlay to the smart object, and then when you're all done with that, go ahead and do the warp after that. So that's pretty much done for that one. Signing off.